Jack tiptoed through the dimly lit apartment, stomach growling. His alien roommate, Zalara, had the good snacks, the kind that were technically not for human consumption, but at this hour, rules were negotiable. He crept past the couch, eyes locked on the glowing pantry, when his foot hit something wet and weirdly warm. His brain had just enough time to register the squelch before he lost balance, slipped forward, and crashed directly into Zalara's back. A sudden, wet gasp. Zalara stiffened, arched, and let out a high-pitched sound that could have been a moan or a scream. Maybe both. Jack blinked, pressed against her, hands awkwardly planted on either side of her waist. She didn't move. Silence. The room felt hot. Jack's breath was on her neck. Something bioluminescent pulsed along her spine, glowing in hypnotic rhythm. His human brain, still booting up after a failed midnight snack raid, struggled to process. Zalara finally spoke, a whisper, breathy, shocked. You came inside me! From behind. Jack's brain blue-screened. What? Her crest flashed pink, spreading down her skin like a blooming flower. Oh shit, Jack, do you have any idea what you just did? Jack scrambled backward like she was on fire, wiping his hands on his pajama pants like they'd touched lava. I tripped. That wasn't, whatever you're thinking, it wasn't that. Zalara turned, her large violet eyes wild, her lips parted in sheer horror. No. No. You don't understand. Jack. In my culture you just… Her breathing hitched. Her chest markings were pink now too. Jack, still wildly unaware of the depth of his fuck-up, waved a hand. Whoa, okay, let's back up. I was just trying to steal some of your weird space cereal, slipped on whatever the hell that goo was, and now you're looking at me like I just knocked you up. You did. Jack froze. What? Zalara grabbed her head, groaning. Not literally. But functionally, yes. Jack felt his soul leave his body. Zalara inhaled through her nose. Paced. Clawed hands flexing. Then she turned, voice dangerously low. My species absorbs nutrients through our backs. Right. Okay. Gross, but okay. But if something touches us, inside, during absorption… She exhaled sharply. It's a mating trigger. A bonding act. And it's only done by life partners. Jack squinted. Okay, I hear you, but let me counter with, I tripped. Zalara grabbed his collar. My father, she said slowly, is overlord of the 12th Fleet. My brothers are blood duel champions. If they find out you… She gulped. Entered me from behind, they will expect a wedding. If you refuse, they will execute you. Jack stared at her. Then, I'm sorry, back up, wedding? Execution? Zalara held up a trembling hand, finger already pressing the distress beacon on her wrist. Jack lunged. Nope, no, we are not calling your family. A hologram flashed to life. Jack froze mid-grapple. The floating blue projection of Zalara's family flickered into the room. At the center, a massive alien warlord with 8 battle scars, flaring mandibles, and terrifyingly sharp golden eyes loomed over them. His cape billowed dramatically, even though there was no wind. His voice was a seismic event. Daughter. What is wrong? Zalara, still clutching Jack's collar, trying to physically drag him into submission, turned and blushed harder. Father, Jack, panicking, yanked himself free. This, unfortunately, caused him to stumble back onto Zalara again. Another wet gasp. Her crest pulsed. The hologram erupted into chaos. By the gods, he did it twice. We saw it. A double entry. Such strength. Such passion. Jack. Sweet mother of FUCK, NOI. Zalara's mother fainted. Her brothers drew weapons. Her father roared in approval. He is bold. I like him. We shall begin the wedding preparations immediately. Jack went pale. Wait. Zalara covered her face. Oh, moons help me. Her father grinned, baring massive fangs. You have done well, daughter, to claim such a worthy mate. Jack. Claim? Zalara hissed in pure despair. Jack, just nod. Jack shook his head violently. No! Absolutely not! We are roommates! Her father's mandibles clicked. Do human roommates often enter one another from behind? Jack died inside. Zalara groaned. Father, please! But her father was already clapping his massive hands together. This is a great union. We shall arrive tomorrow to complete the ritual. The hologram flickered off. Jack, shell-shocked, turned to Zalara. Zalara buried her face in her hands. So, Jack managed. I have one question. She groaned. What? Jack pointed wildly at the empty air where her homicidal warlord father had just been. What the fuck just happened? Jack paced the living room, hands on his head, hyperventilating into his own personal nightmare. His roommate's family, her entire war-hardened, bloodthirsty family, was on their way to his apartment for a wedding. His wedding to his alien roommate. Because he tripped. Zalara, fix this. Jack turned desperate. There's gotta be some kind of loophole, right? Like an annulment? A refund policy? Can I unenter you from behind? Zalara groaned, slumping onto the couch. No, Jack. The act is done. The bonding process has begun. My father will never accept breaking it. Jack threw his hands up. That's insane. Zalara gave him a deadpan look. My father conquered a moon because they overcooked his steak. Jack froze. Holy shit. Zalara leaned forward, rubbing her temples. You don't understand my culture. They're not coming to discuss this, Jack. They're coming to complete it. If you refuse, they'll assume you're dishonoring me. And dishonoring a warlord's daughter means, well. She made a slicing gesture across her throat. Jack's stomach sank. So my options are marriage or murder. She nodded grimly. Fucking fantastic. Jack collapsed onto the couch beside her, running his hands through his hair. So what? I just marry you. How long? Is this a lifetime thing? Can we fake it? Zalara hesitated. Technically, yes. If we convince my father that we're truly bonded, he won't question it. Jack perked up. Great! We fake it for a while, then stage a dramatic breakup. Zalara snorted. Jack, my species mates for life. We don't break up. Jack's soul left his body. What happens if we do? He'll probably assume you were too weak to keep me happy and challenge you to a death duel. Jack gripped the couch cushion like it was a life raft. You people have one setting and it's murder. Zalara shrugged. It's very efficient. Jack groaned. He was so screwed. All right, new plan. We make them believe we're crazy in love, right? Then maybe I fake my death. Zalara scoffed. Oh, sure. Let me just tell my father, the galactic warlord, that my mate mysteriously died in his 20s. That'll go over great. Jack collapsed face first onto the armrest. Okay. We're doomed. Zalara sighed, rubbing her face. I'll try to soften them up when they arrive. But Jack, you have to play along. Jack groaned into the cushion. How affectionate are we talking? She shifted uncomfortably. Very. Jack sat up. How very? Zalara looked away. Public displays of affection are a big deal. We'll have to be convincing. Jack stared at her. We have to do stuff, don't we? She didn't answer. He stood up. Nope. I'm out. I'll take the death duel. Zalara grabbed his wrist, pulling him back down. Jack, I don't want to die either. So we either pretend to be madly in love, or we start writing our last words. Jack exhaled sharply. So what, we flirt? Hold hands? What's considered romantic in your culture? Zalara hesitated. Then, reluctantly, she muttered. Licking. Jack blinked. I'm sorry. Licking? She looked pained. Yeah. Jack's face contorted. Where? She refused to make eye contact. Oh, come on. Zilara crossed her arms. You asked? Jack leaned back, staring at the ceiling. So your dad is expecting me to? Yes. Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. And if I refuse? You'll die. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. They sat in silence. Then Jack sighed. God, I hope your skin tastes like strawberries. Jack stood in front of the mirror, tugging at the stiff ceremonial tunic Zilara had thrown at him an hour ago. It itched. And why the hell did it have so many straps? Why does this feel like a tactical straitjacket? He muttered, struggling to tie what looked like a battle harness across his chest. Zilara, adjusting her own elaborate outfit, barely spared him a glance. Because it is. My people believe love is war. Jack paused mid-strap. Come again? She sighed, tightening the metal clasps along her forearms. It's symbolic. The stronger the bond, the more intense the struggle. Jack scowled. So what, I'm supposed to look like I just lost a cage match? Zilara eyed him critically. Actually, yeah? A little bruising would make it more convincing. Jack stared. Zilara, I am not punching myself for this. She shrugged. Just a suggestion. Jack threw up his hands. This is insane. I don't get it. Your species absorbs nutrients through your back, and somehow that's equivalent to shoving a wedding ring on someone's finger? Zilara exhaled, finally turning to him. It's not just the act. It's about who does it. Nutrient absorption is vulnerable. We only allow mates to be involved in the process. You, Jack, entered the process. From behind. Unannounced. Jack groaned, rubbing his face. God damn it. A deep, thunderous voice boomed from the other room. Human! Face me! Jack flinched. Oh shit! Zilara straightened. They're here. Jack's stomach nosedived into the floor. He followed her into the living room, and... Oh no. Zilara's family was huge. Her father, a 7-foot-tall, scar-covered, war-god-looking bastard, stood in the center, arms thicker than Jack's entire torso. His tusks gleamed under the apartment's LED lights as he glared down at Jack like he was a cockroach that owed him money. Jack swallowed. Hard. Behind him, 5 more aliens, brothers? Uncles? Some kind of biological death squad, stood armed to the teeth, watching Jack with varying levels of disgust. Jack turned to Zilara. I don't think they like me. Her eyes screamed no shit. The father stepped forward, towering over him. You are the human who has claimed my daughter? Jack choked on air. Claimed? What was he, a used car dealership? He scrambled for words. Yeah. Sure. Claimed. Love that. Big fan of claiming. Zilara's father squinted. You do not look like a warrior. Jack snorted. That's because I'm not one. The room went deathly silent. Zilara slapped a hand over Jack's mouth. What he means is, he is in a different kind of war. A battle of wits. Strength of mind. Right, darling? She stared daggers into his soul. Jack, catching on, nodded violently. Oh, yeah? Constant battle. Every day. My wits are super strong. The father grunted. Then prove it. Jack blinked. I'm sorry? The giant warlord grinned, showing a row of pointed teeth. A test. Of your worth. If you are to mate my daughter, you must show you are worthy. Jack mentally screamed. And what exactly does this test involve? The father's grin widened. 10 minutes later, Jack was sitting in front of a bowl of something that looked suspiciously like moving, sentient pudding. Jack whispered out the corner of his mouth. Zilara, what the hell is this? Zilara, looking deeply apologetic, whispered back. It's alive. Jack's soul left his body. It's what? Her father slammed a fist on the table. Eat. Jack stared at the bowl. The bowl stared back. He had never been more aware of his own mortality. Zilara nudged him. Just take a bite. Show confidence. Jack, swallowing back every single survival instinct, grabbed a spoon, scooped up the wiggling alien nightmare fuel, and shoved it into his mouth. It squirmed. It wiggled. It tried to fight back. Jack gagged. He chewed. He swallowed. He prayed to every god he had ever ignored. The father watched. Then, he nodded. Jack barely had time to celebrate before Zalara's father said, "Now for the next trial." Jack slammed his head onto the table. "There's another one?" The warlord grinned. Jack knew, with absolute certainty, that he was not making it out of this alive. Jack's stomach was still doing backflips from the sentient food incident, but before he could even process his life choices, Zalara's father clapped his hands together. The walls shook. "No," the warlord boomed. "We will test your physical endurance." Jack paled. "Wait, what?" The warlord grinned, tusks gleaming. "A suitor must prove he is strong enough to protect his mate. You will face my sons in battle." Jack stared at the row of absolute units standing behind the warlord. Each one broader, taller, and meaner looking than the last. Jack turned to Zalara. "So, quick question. Are you trying to kill me?" Zalara sighed. "Just run, Jack." Before he could even process that, one of the hulking brothers lunged. Jack screamed. He ducked. The brother missed. Jack bolted. Zalara's brothers chased him around the living room. Furniture exploded. The coffee table? Gone. The lamp? Decimated. The couch? Flipped over like a used tissue. Jack, dodging for dear life, screamed, "How is this a wedding ritual?" Zalara, standing off to the side, shrugged. "Tradition." One of the brothers lunged again. Jack, purely on reflex, grabbed a throw pillow and smacked him in the face. The entire room went silent. The brother staggered back. Then, he burst into laughter. Jack, still frozen in fight-or-flight mode, blinked. Did I win?" The warlord grinned. "You survived. Good enough." Jack collapsed onto the couch, breathing like he just ran a marathon. "I hate this family." Zalara patted his shoulder. "You'll get used to us." Jack glared. "Not helping." Her father slammed a jug of something onto the table. "Now we drink." Jack eyed the jug suspiciously. "What is it?" Zalara whispered. "Fermented Krakna blood." Jack shoved the cup away. "Nope. Absolutely not. I am drawing a line." The warlord raised a brow. "Are you refusing my hospitality?" Jack hesitated. Then sighed. "I hate everything." He grabbed the cup and chugged. Mistake. It tasted like burning. Jack choked. His lungs evaporated. His soul left his body. Zalara leaned in, whispering, "If it makes you feel better, you only have one more test left." Jack, tears in his eyes, croaked, "I hate you so much right now." Jack sat on the floor, clutching his stomach, regretting every decision that had led him to this moment. His mouth still burned from the alien liquor, his muscles ached from dodging Zalara's genetically enhanced brothers, and worst of all, he could hear wedding bells. Actual, physical wedding bells. "Why is there music?" Jack rasped, staring at Zalara in horror. Zalara, looking completely unfazed, adjusted her ceremonial sash. "Final tradition. The wedding is being formalized." Jack panicked. "You said there was one more test. You didn't say it was marriage." Zalara tilted her head. "I thought it was obvious." Jack wheezed. "I was wrong to trust you." Her father slammed a hand on his shoulder. Jack nearly collapsed under the weight. "You have passed all trials," the warlord declared. "You have shown strength, agility, and a questionable tolerance for alcohol. You are worthy." Jack, blinking furiously, tried to process. "But I don't." The warlord didn't care. "Now we move to the final binding." Zalara held out her hand. "All you have to do is touch my back again." Jack, staring at her like she just grew a second head, blurted, "Are you insane? That's how this started." Her father and brothers all crossed their arms, waiting. The entire clan was watching. Jack glanced between Zalara's calm expression and her terrifyingly huge family. What happens if I refuse? The warlord's eyes narrowed. Jack's survival instinct screamed. He sighed. I hate everything about this. Slowly, he reached out. Right before his fingers made contact, Zalara grabbed his wrist. Jack froze. She smirked. Gotcha. Jack blinked. What? Zalara leaned in. My people take traditions seriously, but we're not idiots. I can choose my own mate, Jack. I don't need rituals to tell me who's right for me. Jack just stared. You're telling me this was a joke? She grinned. No. It was a test. To see if you'd make a run for it. Jack exhaled, relieved. So I'm not married? Zalara shrugged. I mean, unless you want to be. Jack froze again. The warlord pounded his chest. A strong suitor indeed. He has earned my respect. We drink again. Jack shot up. No. Absolutely not. I am never drinking that again. Zalara, still smirking, nudged him. You know, it's not too late to go through with it. Jack groaned. I swear to God, you are the worst roommate ever. Zalara's tail flicked playfully. You love it. Jack collapsed onto the couch. He hated to admit it, but maybe she wasn't entirely wrong.